So this brings us to like 1999-ish.
Yeah.
Where he did get that funding to start his own company called Salesforce, which, as we talked about a little bit earlier, was like right at the .com kind of boom. And Salesforce was supposed to be the end of software. It was kind of his marketing.
What's interesting is back then, software was CD-ROMs.
Right.
Like, I take a CD.
Microsoft Windows was a CD-ROM.
Yeah, I put it into my computer and I install it, and that's like how it worked. The internet was pretty new, a few years publicly, like a few years old, and by this time, like, companies were popping up like AI companies right now. Like, the internet here, is that one going to take off?
Yeah, it was only a year after Google founded.
Yeah.
Like, they only made Salesforce a year after that.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But a lot of the companies around the time are gone. To think about how internet companies, which seems like such a mainstay right now, internet companies were like crypto companies. If you mentioned an internet company, somebody was like, bro,
give me your money.
It's like, are you talking to me about NFTs? AI, are you serious?
There's hype cycles in every single... Drive.
Founders Drive. We are live.
We are live with Founders Drive.
Yes, we are back, baby.
The Halloween episode.
The Halloween episode. Spooky.
It is pretty spooky. The super secret's gonna be spookier.
Yeah, you'll probably get this like a couple days after Halloween, but it's still spooky.
We'll probably dress up for the super secret, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you know what? We should have dressed up for this episode.
Oh, we will.
Yeah, like I would have loved to have worn a costume for this episode right here. That would have been hilarious.
Hopefully it wouldn't distract everybody.
Yeah. Oh man, so where do we start, Jake? Where do we start today?
AI layoffs.
Well, no, I mean that's cool because it's like it's really relevant to what we're doing.
Well, it's not just relevant to what we're doing; it's relevant to the world.
It's relevant to
everybody's
you.
Getting laid
relevant
off.
to you. It's relevant to all of you.
Everyone's getting laid off. It seems like
Yeah,
they're all saying AI is the reason.
Yeah. So, UPS laid off 48,000 people today, or not today, but this week. That's what they announced.
Yeah.
Amazon 30,000 worldwide. 14,000 in America. Or from their corporate.
Corporate, yeah.
Target 1,800.
Yep.
Starbucks 1,000. The numbers just keep going up. It's like every time we look, more and more people are getting laid off. Meta 600.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Yep.
You know,
and that was after they did a whole bunch of layoffs. Like,
yeah. And then there's a lot of people that aren't hiring. I mean, the whole thing is like, okay, there's going to be new jobs, but that's just the end state. Like, what does that whole process look like? And I think right now, without any clear direction, it looks like a lot of people not really knowing what to do. And you can't even get to that end state where we have all of the benefits of AI if in between there and now, people are completely disregarded, not pulled into the process and the whole transitionary period of like finding new work and finding how to make use of the whole technology that we have.
Yeah. Yep. And so obviously that parallels really well with the product and the company that we are working on, which is trying to get people closer and closer towards profiting off of their passions, being able to make money through their expertise and their knowledge online, so you don't have to rely on a 9-to-5.
Exactly. Like one of the biggest problems in human history is that we've had to do work that we just aren't passionate about.
Yep.
Labor was something that was necessary, and we didn't have much choice around that. And this goes all the way back to times where people just weren't doing things that they didn't want to do.
Forever, it seems like.
Right? And that started to shift around the Industrial Revolution. Not right away for everybody, but it did grant opportunities for people to benefit in different ways, have a little bit more choice about where they work. And right now, it's at a stage where there's a lot more access to the means of production because a lot of the means of production are online. That's why we're focusing on digital products, because if you're in a traditional 9-to-5 job, you have your passions, but you don't know what to do because you just got laid off, then exploring the digital world is great because it doesn't cost you a lot of money. It just costs your attention and it costs a little bit of time, and that's it. Yeah. Beyond that, it's like you doing what you love and making money off of it. I know a lot of people aren't hip to the idea at all.
Sounds like a lot of woo-woo.
It's a lot of woo-woo, but there's a lot of truth in that woo-woo. And I think if it's not immediately apparent now, it'll become more and more apparent as the years go on. And I think getting an early start just puts you in a position where you can develop your skill sets earlier, so that way when that time comes where it's like, hey, big companies just aren't a thing anymore, then you'll be ready for that. And I think we kind of see that like a good industry to look at before we kind of shift into the constants updates, and before we get into the entrepreneur of the episode, is look into the music industry. That's one of those ones where it used to be big record labels, only a few people made it, everybody else was in support of that, and then outside of that, you just didn't have a job.
Right.
Now, you can go in the independent route and build your audience on your own, and then the labels come after you because they want to get a piece of that, right? Hop on the train. But right now, it's the world belongs to the self-starters. The world belongs to the people that are inclined to do things. The world belongs to the entrepreneurs. This is the age of the entrepreneur. We went from the agricultural revolution to the industrial revolution, and this is the entrepreneurial revolution. And the people that recognize it are going to be the people that can benefit from them the most.
Yeah, and I think we can kind of, I would say, skip over some of the constant updates, because what you just said literally matches beautifully with who we're going to talk about today. The people that can recognize these shifts in the economy, the people that can recognize the different layouts of the world that are happening over time, are who are going to profit the most and be able to capture the most when that does happen. And that actually happened with the founder we're talking about today during the .com bubble. And who is that?
Marc Benioff.
Marc Benioff. The story that he has, I mean, he's still alive, right? So he's still making his story.
Yeah.
But those early years, specifically around like the 1999 and the 2000 kind of .com tech bubble, was a huge shift for software as a service and just the ways that companies could deliver software to people. He saw that, took advantage of it, and now he's a multi-billionaire.
So who is Marc Benioff? That's the real question.
That's a good question. I don't know if we're going to be able to answer that, but we'll try our best.
Yeah, we'll be able to dabble in there. And I think with this episode, I know we spend a lot more time on early stories and early anecdotes, but I would love to get into some of his philosophies and kind of break that down and see where we line up with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this episode. But going back and just kind of painting a little bit of an overview.
Quick timeline,
is that he was born in 1964. He was pretty entrepreneurial early on, in that he had
high school, right?
Yeah, he had a video game company where he was making video games and reviewing video games, and he eventually earned enough to buy his first car.
Yeah, and pay his way through college.
Pay his way through college, where he went to USC, got his business degree, finished college, which is not as common for Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. But even as an early guy, like his father and grandfather were both very business minded, taught him a lot of lessons about trust, doing right by your customer, and having big ambitions, following your passion. And so he was really molded in that area. One thing that was a nice little story that I think is worth highlighting is his mother let him fly to England to do research on one of the video games that he was creating. They had family over there, but while he was in high school, she was like, yeah, you can go and do that. And again, this is not a time where you have cell phones and you can FaceTime along the way while you're on the plane. Right? It was the age where there were no helicopter parents. But yeah, so he was pretty active early on in terms of following his passions and his interests and peeling back a layer and saying, okay, what can I do? It seemed like he wasn't like Paul Graham, who was like, at 13, I was like, why am I watching TV? I shouldn't be doing this as a 13-year-old. But it was in a space where it seemed like he kind of just found himself in areas and was following his interests and was like, oh, I think my games would be better if I did some research here, if I drove up to Mountain View, if I flew over here to go and get a better insight for the storylines. So that was a big thing for him growing up.
Most people don't have a company in high school.
Yeah.
Most people.
Yeah, he called it, what do you call it? Basic, it was like basic, it was named after the language. The programming language.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was like basic something. I can't remember what it was. But he seemed very proud of it. So that's the reason why I bring that up.
Yeah.
But shifting to gears out, like right when he graduated from college, he got right into the workforce.
Yes,
going
he
from
did.
there to Oracle. I believe he did an internship and spent some time at Apple working as a programmer there.
Yeah, he wrote some like assembly language for them, which back then that was what they used.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, for the Macintosh.
Yeah, imagine doing that now. Like an internship.
If you do that now, you're paid a lot of money to write archaic languages.
Like how many people are doing that?
Right.
But he went to Oracle where he ended up spending 13 years, and he was 21 at the time.
Yep.
And from there, he started as a
customer service.
Customer service.
He was in customer service at Oracle.
Customer service at Oracle, and then he ended up moving into sales and then product development before becoming the youngest VP. I was about to say VC. Before he became the youngest VP, and then he eventually became a senior VP. But another thing is that he was like the rookie of the year there.
He did win Rookie of the Year.
And since we're talking about Oracle, if you want a little bit more context around Oracle, check out the episode with Larry Ellison,
who ended up becoming Marc's mentor.
Yeah, yeah, and one of his first investors when he started Salesforce.
Exactly.
And also one of his competitors when he realized, hey, we should be doing the same thing.
Right.
But that was like a big aspect of his life. He talked about, especially in the later years being at Oracle, how he had the dream, but it felt like something was missing. And he would talk to his dad. His dad was like, don't quit. He was like, you're making a mistake. And but he was like, no, I feel like I need to leave. He ended up going to Larry Ellison and telling him, hey, I'm feeling like my passion's not here. Larry said, why don't you take a 3-month sabbatical?
Yep. And
he ended up taking that sabbatical, going to either India or Japan, which is customary for which is customary for Silicon Valley entrepreneurs to go and take their,
quarter life crisis.
Yeah, over in the middle, over in India and the Eastern countries.
Yeah.
But it did have a profound impact on him. He always admired Toyota for their customer service and their reliability. And he talks about how when he got to Japan, it just went deeper in terms of understanding the people, some of the religions that came out of there.
Yep.
He's very Zen in the way that he approaches technology, business, and his craft, and he's not afraid to draw on that. So I think that's kind of cool. It's very much like Naval.
Yes.
Where he's like kind of like a Zen entrepreneur.
Absolutely. The one quote that he references quite a bit from the Toyota days, there's recently with a Twitter post, is the Toyota mantra of better, 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 never best. Everything can get better, but it's never gonna be perfect because nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah, it's like Ferrari when he said, it's like, what's your best car? It's like the next one,
you know? Exactly.
And I like that mentality. That's like a through line that you see between the different founders, is always striving for better and knowing that better is out of reach, but it's what makes things interesting. Because better means that you're on the ultimate journey. Like if your stops along the way, but ultimately it's like, this is something that's perpetual and I can continue to go and learn new things, get better at what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. So this brings us to like 1999-ish.
Yeah.
Where he did get that funding to start his own company called Salesforce, which, as we talked about a little bit earlier, was like right at the .com kind of boom. And Salesforce was supposed to be the end of software. It was kind of his marketing.
What's interesting is back then, software was CD-ROMs.
Right.
Like I take a CD.
Microsoft Windows was a CD-ROM.
Yeah, I put it into my computer and I install it, and that's like how it worked. The internet was pretty new, a few years a few years old, and by this time, like companies were popping up like AI companies right now. Like the internet here, is that one going to take off?
Yeah, it was only a year after Google founded.
Yeah.
Like they only made Salesforce a year after that.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
But a lot of the companies around the time are gone. To think about how internet companies, which seems like such a mainstay right now,
right?
Internet companies were like crypto companies. If you mentioned an internet company, somebody was like,
"Oh,
bro,
give me your money."
It's like, are you talking to me about NFTs? AI? Are you serious?
There's hype cycles in every single one of these, and so recognizing that, and he's lived through multiple of them.
Yeah, it's not jumping on the first bandwagon, but jumping on the second bandwagon is
the one
way
that
to
makes
go
more
about it,
sense. Yes.
right? And then if you jump on the first one, know that you're probably gonna have to jump out and try and hitch a ride on the second.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. One thing that I want to throw out here is that there was a story about how he was looking to buy Twitter at one point for $20 billion.
Wow.
Could you imagine a world where instead of Elon taking Twitter and turning it into X, Benioff? Yeah.
I can, now that I know that Marc Benioff owns Time magazine.
Yeah, he, in just Salesforce, in and of themselves, have played the acquirer more than once.
Yes, and I have been
acquire and integrates.
On the
acquire and integrates.
I've been on boots on the ground for that actual issue multiple times in my life.
Hey,
but
hey, we're highlighting the founder right now.
Exactly.
We're not doing product reviews.
Exactly.
We're not doing product reviews.
We will. No, so like starting that company, Salesforce, I think it was, it started in 1999. In 2003, I know that he was given the, by George W. Bush, he was appointed as like the technical advisor to the president in 2003, just 4 years after he started his own company.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
That's really quick.
That's pretty quick. He was 38 at the time.
True.
Built a lot of networks and relationships, I would imagine, for that to be able to take place so early in his independent career.
And that's something I think we should talk about, because that's like a theme that didn't just happen in 2003, but happened multiple times.
What?
Him being in these networks and being able to take advantage of these networks, where I don't think that the stores are public, because at least I wasn't able to find a lot of them, but it feels like there's a lot of things that are going behind the scenes in terms of how much people trust Marc.
Well, that is like a big theme of his, is trust. And maybe we touch on some of the philosophies and then we go into some of the, how his timeline might have happened. Maybe then we turn into the investigative journalists.
We could.
Yeah,
I think just like for a basics, Salesforce is a CRM. A cloud CRM, customer relationship management system, right? Basically allows you to take notes every single time that you interact with the customer, and then through that system you can actually get like a really high level view of all the customers that your business has interacted with, and come up with intelligent ways to engage those customers. So virtual assistants, phone calls, emails, whatever it is, it's kind of all in one with Salesforce.
Yeah, the interactions that take place around that relationship. So they digitize that relationship, and then they put together all of the different tools that you might use to manage that relationship.
Right.
A big part of that, though, is his dad used to do everything by hand, and he talks about that.
Exactly.
And then he said that he tried to introduce him to some technology and databases, and his dad was like, I'm not really trying to do that. And his dad did see his early success, but he talks about how his dad didn't realize how much the way that he worked influenced how he ended up ultimately orienting his life.
Yeah.
That's important because it just shares the outline of what motivated him, what put him there. But Salesforce was also one of the first companies not only to be on the internet, because that's essentially what the cloud is facilitated by, but it also put him in this position where they charged through subscriptions. They were one of the first people that did subscriptions on the internet.
True SaaS platform.
Right. So Marc was a sassy boy. That's
you can say that. The king of SaaS.
The king of SaaS. He was so sassy. But his SaaS got him. His SaaS got him here, is what we're saying, and we've seen the impact of it. The thing is, a lot of people, just like Oracle, don't realize the impact of Salesforce. But I want to say it's one of the biggest enterprise companies in the world.
Yes.
And they're business to business. So if you worked in some type of corporation, then you might be behind the scenes. But
using Salesforce,
but on the front end, you might not see it if you've never had to work in a position where you have a big enough company where you need a CRM.
Most companies have a flavor of Salesforce somewhere in their stack.
Another thing that's pretty important to highlight, again, before we shift into some of the philosophy stuff, is he would often, when Salesforce was founded, they did the whole 1-1-1 pledge.
Yeah, so that's huge.
They give up 1% of their profits, their employees' time, and then their product to philanthropic.
That's the word.
Efforts, to philanthropic efforts. And that's something that they've continued to do, and they've continued to highlight as one of their core values and something that they care about. And another thing, which we probably won't get into in this episode, but when you look into him, you see is a track record with a lot of philanthropic activities.
Yes.
Not just with Salesforce, the company, but broader and just with him in general. Like he's done stuff with like the 6 trillion trees. I think that's an initiative that they've done.
Oh, dude, he's given the largest ever philanthropic gift to a hospital. He gave him like $100 million.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, dude, he gave him the $100 million, and it was like the largest ever private philanthropic gift. And they renamed like the Children's Research Center after it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also been pretty outspoken into telling everybody else in Silicon Valley, stop hoarding your wealth.
Yeah.
Use your wealth for good.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we have it. And so, yeah, definitely one of the most philanthropic, I would say, leaders in Silicon Valley, for sure.
It's like, but what if I lose it all? What if I get rid of it? It's like, you'd be pretty dumb to lose billions of dollars.
Right.
Like, make it all and then lose. But anyway, it's like, you're fine. Like, you'll be okay, I promise.
Right.
But yeah, like, I think one of the things that really stuck out to me as I was looking into him and doing some research on him is how he talks about values. He says values create value. And I've just been in this whole value kick. It's something that we talk a lot about. On our site, you see the values on, and when we do like a consultation with a creative or an entrepreneur directly, which you can do, just reach out to us. If not, then we always have the tools on constance.com. But anytime we do that, we start by looking at values. Like, what do people see as value? And another way to say that is, what do people care about? What does a person or the entrepreneur that we're talking about, what do they care about? What do they find important? What do they hold in esteem above other things? And there's hints and there's ways and methods to find that stuff. But knowing what somebody finds is valuable ends up creating the foundation for a lot of other stuff. And that's just a really intriguing way to navigate business. But it's cool to hear him talk about that very openly and clearly as a way that he navigates. It's his compass. It's like, okay, do I want to work with this person? Are our values aligned? If our values are aligned, then, we can do business. If not, then we might want to re-examine where the gap is, where the delta is. And again, that can become very informative.
Yeah, I really like that, leading with that instead of just leading with the money. Instead of just being like, oh, you're gonna make me money? Yeah, let's work together. There's a certain amount of, I think that helps you kind of build trust, where I'm not just here for the money. I'm here for a greater purpose. And so the work that we're doing is great, but it's going to lead to a long-term lasting relationship instead of just a quick, business transaction.
Well, I also think that money's a tool. Like, money's a really important tool, and it allows for us to do a lot of things. But if that's the most valuable thing, with money without purpose, then it just turns into hoarding it. And again, that could be good for some time, but that's not a real long-term play. And so it's really, when we say the values in the business context, it's not saying don't care about money. It's just know what the money is being used for.
Or have a use for that money. And not just having the money.
It's like, have a purpose for it. And then that also helps drive like earning, because you can say, this is where we need to earn for this purpose. You have a reason why. And having a reason why can make everything much more clear, transparent, and ultimately motivating. But the values the framework is something that I saw. He gave a talk at this one conference, but he also talks about it in his books, and he talks about it ad nauseum. Where he says values create value, and at the top of the Salesforce value chain is customer service. But actually, let me take a step back. He talks about values, but in the framework that I heard him talk, he said, first you want to find out what you desire and what you want. When you find out what you want, then you want to look at your values. Once you find out your values, then you want to operationalize your values and come up with methods where you can go and implement your values to get what you want. And then after that, he had something, I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, but it was another step. And it's something that I saw him talk about. And I think there's a slightly different approach that we take, but kind of focusing on that values aspect, I think is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he's still running the company. There was a period in time there where he was the co-CEO, which I don't really get that whole era, but
Yeah.
it's crazy that like he is still running things kind of like you'd expect, like a Warren Buffett, right? To still be at the mantle, the helm of his company, even at into his 60s. So obviously something's working.
Yeah, obviously he has something figured out. He seems pretty like light on his feet too.
Yeah.
In terms of, it doesn't seem like he's stressed out by what he's doing. It seems like he gets energized by it, which I think is important. But I think the things with values, the reason why I found that so powerful, like he says, start with what you want and then go to your desires and then operationalize your desires. And then he said measure.
And
then make sure that you measure that you're making progress towards your desires. I almost think that, not almost think, I do think that values inform what you want. So when you uncover your values first, and then you discover what you believe to be true about your values, then you can start to clearly determine what you want. Sometimes you don't know what you want. And I think that can stop a lot of people, where it's like, I don't know. But if you start asking questions about values and you say, okay, let's find out what you find is important about the world. People say this, and this, and then you can start to say, okay, that's the first area. Then you can dig a little bit deeper and say, okay, well, how do you spend your time? That will uncover values, and you'll see a little reshift. Then you could say, okay, who do you admire just in general? That'll uncover other values, because those are the people that you hold in high esteem. Then you go, okay. Then you say, all right, well, what do you, and there's like several questions that you can put out there that can start to uncover this aspect of us that we aren't really aware about. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, if I spend time in these areas that I care about, then what's weird is I found that it can be energizing.
Yeah.
But, that might not be the case for everybody else. But I found that it can be energizing because you can build a level of confidence when you know what you find to be important. And I think like that's kind of slips into the whole discussion about trust, which ends up being Marc Benioff's one of his top values. It's like that, customer success, and then I think he has innovation as another core value of Salesforce.
It's interesting. I think I agree with what you're saying. However, from my point of view, it's not just like what you want, because there's like a level of desire there. It's really what you're passionate about. And I would agree with you that when you start doing work that's aligned with what you're passionate about, it is energizing. It's a cheat code. It's something that I'm going to spend way more hours doing this than you can, because you're not passionate about it.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely an alignment there in terms of like what you're passionate about should also be like what you value.
And so that's cool, because I want to add a little bit of context with some definitions that I know that we talk about, but might back up that statement. Is passion, a lot of people conflate it with the thing that you like to do, and that's not the case. It's a lot of people like their passions because they're willing to do that thing more than the next person. And passion, essentially, when you look up the root of the word, is tied to the idea of endurance and suffering, and it goes hand in hand. It's like, if I'm willing to endure this thing, then I care about it more. Some people are willing to endure a performance at a concert, and so they'll stand in line around the block just to wait to get in there. I'm not.
No, I watched that on YouTube.
But there are people that do that. But on the same token, it's like some people aren't really passionate about building businesses, and so they're like, I don't really want to go in that space. Or some people aren't really passionate about code or cars or music or sports, and so they're not willing to spend the time or the effort to go and stay in that space. But the next part about that thing that you said is the energy. Energy can be seen as a really esoteric woo-woo term. Woo-woo! But it's something that I think can be really practical when you look at it through the scientific lens, which it's just your ability and capacity to change something in the world, to exert your energy. I don't like using to work on something. And so if you're working on something that you're passionate about, something that you have an outsized ability to endure, then it goes to stand that you will have more energy reserves than somebody else. So you literally gain energy by following your passion. relative to everybody else, because not everybody's going to be able to stick with something as long as they need to see success as you are.
100%.
And that's not just in the activity, it's also in all of the things that you have to do around the activity, like learning, etc. I could even say this openly. It's like with sports, you don't realize that the reason why some people are better, there are some just natural talent freaks.
Yeah.
But long term, the reason why some people are better is because they just spent more time with it. Like you look at a guy like Michael Jordan, it's, I want to know every single angle. I want to think 3 or 4 different steps ahead and have all of these contingencies around the outcome. That's passion.
Right.
And spending the time to do that in a time where you don't have YouTube. You're on the court, mentally working through all these things.
Having to read newspapers.
Right? And watch cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Some people watching this don't even know what a cassette tape is. They're like, what? What's a DVD? They don't know. They don't know. But it goes to speak to how powerful passion is. And it also speaks to the ethos of constants and where we think things are headed. Is in the past, you didn't get a choice about what you're passionate about. It's like, we think you'd be good at this, and so you're going there.
Or you hear this thing that you're lucky if you can work on what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I heard that so much when I was in college.
Yeah,
you'd be lucky to work on what you're passionate about. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I should be working on what I'm passionate about.
It's like, I would actually be better because it's more efficient. It actually makes for a more efficient economy.
In person.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something that it's like a relatively new phenomenon, but again, just looking at indicators, it makes sense why things are going in this direction.
Yeah.
So Benioff was somebody who talks about values. Aiming Your Desire talks about values, and then he talks about operationalizing the values.
Yes.
Part of that is some of the stuff that we do, OKRs, planning. OKRs are objective key results. That's a tool that's used in technology companies. I don't know how widespread it is now.
Right.
But it's used in technology companies to basically make sure that when we set a goal, we can objectively measure it via the results.
Yes.
And so when you set these goals, you set them in mind of, okay, do we have something where we can know if we did what we wanted to do? Or is it abstract? And it's an iterative process. It's something that you continue to do.
Right. Yeah. It's better than having nothing. Better than, just blindly waking up every day thinking, yeah, I'm going to keep achieving my mission. No, write that stuff down and plan for it.
Yeah. He talks about that too with like his goals and values. He's like, do it a lot. That's one thing. He's like, I've done this thousands of times at this point in my life, but it trains your brain to be thinking in terms of values, and your subconscious your subconscious will put you in places if you declare that this is something that's valuable to you. It will try, your body is on autopilot most of the times. Even if you're listening to this, you're probably not thinking about where your feet are, your blood temperature, you're not regulating your heartbeat, you're like not keeping track of all the small little eye movements in your eye, and you're not managing your pitch and tone and your desires and all that stuff. It's like your body's taking over that. And so when you declare as the CEO of your body, as the director of your body, the king of your body, the queen of your body, what you find to be important, your body hears you, interprets that, and tries to put you in situations that line up with that. The thing is most people don't ever do that. They don't say, this is what's important to me. And therefore they get put in positions where either somebody else is influencing that, or they end up in a space where they didn't intend to be, and they're like, oh, and they think it just kind of happens. But we have a lot of influence on that stuff. We just have to know how. And I think this whole value system and taking it seriously can go a long way.
Take over the autopilot.
Take over.
Don't let it, because what you're saying is like, oh yeah, I got to a spot where I didn't know where I was. Because you didn't use a GPS. You were on autopilot. No crap that you got to a spot that you didn't recognize. And so what we're talking about is turn off the autopilot for even 10 minutes. Realize what your values and what you are passionate about, and then chase that. Or at least write it down in a way that will let your body hear it. Because that's the first step in aligning towards that goal.
Facts. All about alignment.
That's a little woo-woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
This is good.
We get woo-woo. You could call this episode woo-woo.
From Salesforce.
But you know what's so interesting is sometimes when an idea is presented in a way that doesn't make sense, it's going to sound like it doesn't make sense. And so it's going to turn out to be woo-woo.
Yeah.
But if it's presented in a way that makes sense, is practical, it speaks to action-oriented framing, and it's given by a credible source, it can become something that is very useful.
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of cool when you hear people like in this position being like, no, I like do this whole values thing and I attribute a lot of my success to that.
Yeah. And then even we can see that, right? I mean, I know trust is huge, and I feel like looking at it, the timeline that I was able to gather and the research I was able to do, trust is a big part into what's not being said in some of these timelines.
Yeah.
And that I thought was just a couple points that we might be able to dive into on maybe pontificating what is going on behind the scenes, because there's just so many leaps and stuff that I see where I'm like, okay, they had to trust you quite a bit. For example, Larry Ellison has to trust you quite a bit to say, I'm going to invest in your company and I'm going to let you basically leave my company to go do your own thing. And, you know, I guess being the youngest VP at the time probably helped.
Yeah.
But then there's a level of communication, I think, that's happening there between them that I'm not privy to, that allows Marc Benioff to take advantage of these opportunities and really quadruple, you know, quintuple, whatever it is, his inputs into these grand outputs.
So there's that idea of like, okay, where did he source his trust? Like,
yeah, how is he using that trust, and not in a bad way, for his benefit? How is he building up the trust and then spending it? Because I kind of think of it like currency.
yeah.
You know, he has a certain amount of it with each individual that he interacts with, and he can choose when to spend some of it if he has to.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about this a little bit in the early days of Salesforce when they, like, their systems are going down all the time. It's like, how much transparency do you want to give people?
They had trust.salesforce.com.
Right.
Trust.salesforce.com. So what's also fascinating is when he tells a lot of his stories, especially in his book Trailblazers, he was saying a lot of and I haven't finished the book. I'm like, you know, about third of the way in, but a lot of his examples that he highlights is when they messed up, especially around trust. He was like, the site was going down, we had all these outages, but he realized the main problem was that people were calling in and they weren't taking the calls because they were embarrassed. They were like, oh my God, it fixed down. The engineers are working around the clock. We don't know what to tell you. But he realized after some time that it wasn't just about being perfect. It was about communicating what's going on. And that built a level of trust. And so they made trust.salesforce.com so people could track the downages but the outages. System was down and the outages. I'm over here combining words. In doing that, people had at least insight to what was happening, so they weren't in a black box confused of like, oh my God, like I don't know if they lost all our data or whatever happened. And so that's like a really practical example, is like the ability to just be transparent is one of those aspects of trust.
Yes.
I think what's curious to me is like there is the aspect of, okay, if I'm just cool with this person, like me and you have a higher degree of trust than somebody that we just meet on the street.
Yeah, of course.
He has a higher degree of trust with Larry Ellison than somebody that just he doesn't know. And so by him going and starting a company when he knows somebody like Larry Ellison, that's a really powerful trust mechanism for him.
That's true. That's true. And it's, I guess I'm always curious about, how do you build that trust? I think with human beings, especially when you're working at the same company, you kind of feel like you're on the same team. And so there's almost an inherent level of trust at a certain level, right? Versus just taking someone off the street.
Yeah.
If you're on the same team with someone, sports teams, in a band, whatever it is, you're on the same team, there's a supposed level of trust there. But to go and take it a step further, to leverage that trust into, oh no, invest in me. Let me leave and be a competitor eventually. Like that to me is a different level of trust that you don't get by just working with somebody, right? You don't just get that by being in the network. You have to probably prove a lot of results first and be dependable and consistent in that, you know, area. I think a lot of the trust comes from not having to micromanage what's happening in that aspect of the world, because I can trust that you're going to get it done the way I would have gotten it done.
I feel like trust is one of the most powerful mechanisms, one of the most powerful concepts in the world, like in all of history, in all of existence.
Powerful but quiet.
And yeah, I mean the results around it, like we see it, but when you peel it back, you're like, okay, there had to be.
Well, nobody talks about it. Nobody's on their soapbox saying trust.
Trust.
I mean, Mark was a little bit because he was the first cloud provider, and he was like, trust us with your data. But most people in the world aren't going out there going, yeah, trust us.
Well, if somebody doesn't trust you, they're not going to. Well, all right, okay. So I think there's trust.
Also, hold on, just real quick. The best part about this is when you say, yeah, trust me. That's actually the worst time to say, because most people will say, oh, he said trust me, I'm not going to trust him now.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're 100% right on that, because it is a quiet thing.
It is.
And it's implied, and you can't just force your trust down someone's throat. Take this trust. Take it.
Trust me.
Take this trust right now. No, you can't just do that.
Somebody clip that.
It's like, no. Just trust me. Just trust me.
Right.
Just trust me. Some people, believe me. Trust me.
Trust me, I'm the best.
I'm the best.
So you can't say that. It makes me not want to trust you.
Yeah, like if you need to say it, then it's like,
right.
You know? But it's powerful, and it facilitates a lot. Dan Gilbert talks a lot about this. When there was like recommended reading from him, I think, that was like, the books were based on trust, like The Speed of Trust and things like that. But it's incredibly powerful. I think Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, one of those two. I think we have Charlie Munger next week.
We do.
But he says that
that's a sneak peek, by the way.
It's like he called it like gasoline, or maybe not gasoline. It was like something. It was like, it's like an expressway. Like there's the regular business channels, and then there's the ones that have trust.
Yes.
And it makes business move so much faster.
Really
I think Benioff is really clear in his articulation of trust and how important it is, but I think it's still undersold, because I look around and I think about how easy it is to miss that small idea of it. But I also think trust comes in different names, and that's stuff that we can go over in the super secret.
Yeah, we will. I think this is a great topic to talk about, just because I think he is one of the most outspoken people in the world about this.
Yeah.
But he still keeps some of his, I guess, secrets close to the chest when it comes to how to actually like build trust with somebody on like a personal level or like a business level.
There's actually a really, really, really powerful. Okay, this is really interesting. Join us on the super secret.
Yes.
Trust me. It'll be awesome. If you go there, you'll get something that's not on this video right now.
Yes.
So we'll put the link in the description, and join us over there. You'll learn all about trust. So the thing that I want to go over first, just as a little bit of a preview, is trust by another name. I think trust becomes easier to understand when you can put it in relation to other concepts that we know about, and that becomes a little bit more actionable and easier to understand and digest. And so that's the first thing that we're going to be talking about over there. Join us. We'd love to have you.
Trust us.
Peace.
Peace. I like that.